This is about defending democracy. This is no longer Democrats versus Republicans. What do you want your kids to believe in? There must be give and take.
This is White Flag with Joe Walsh.
Former Congressman Joe Walsh here. So there's a group I recently found and have become a really big fan of. Starts With Us. They're a movement working to overcome the extreme political and cultural division in America. You can find them online at startswith.us. I love them because they're showing people it's possible to have real, meaningful, productive conversations with people you disagree with. I'm a big fan of this. This is what I try to do on my podcast because right now in America, we have two major political parties that are at each other's throats. And the most dangerous aspect of this is that it's led many of us to avoid having hard conversations with people we disagree with. We're afraid to have these hard conversations, afraid to deal with the tough stuff, so we walk away. But to save our democracy, we have to stick around. I mean, if we all walk away from the table, then who the hell is sticking around to figure things out? This is what I so love and admire about the work that Starts With Us is doing. They're sticking around. They are the movement for people like you and me who want to fight the extreme political and cultural division in this country. Because guess what? People like us, we are in the majority. Starts With Us found that 87% of Americans are tired of how politically and culturally divided we are. So yeah, I'm not just a fan, I'm part of the movement too. And if you're listening to me right now, I want you to join the movement as well. Go to startswith.us and get their free newsletter. Sign up for their free newsletter. Get involved. Start there. Startswith.us. Thanks. Because I find you interesting. You're real. Most people bore me, John Ailes. You don't. I find you really interesting. Follow on Twitter. You and I never would have gotten to know each other.
This is where we connect.
Yeah.
No, never.
What do you do? John Ailes, the actor. Do you you engage on Twitter? You get into Twitter.
Yes. I mean, it's really my only social media engagement now. I'm a photographer as well.
I know that.
I'm more retired now than I used to be, but Instagram for a while was the thing that really floated my boat because I could share my work and see other people and learn and stuff. And then, Facebook just became so insular and not broad enough for me. And someone encouraged me to join Twitter at the very beginning. I got a series and you have to join. So I joined and I thought I still didn't understand the language of it, but I think, do you remember when the Paris attacks happened? When those shooting, that's when I thought Twitter, I was like, holy shit, they're talking to each other in real time to help each other in the city right now.
Yeah.
Through this network.
Yeah.
And I said, that is the way social media can connect and be the most powerful thing that the people can use.
Fuck yes.
So as you know,
that was a while ago.
It really was. Do you remember the what? I forget where it was, where the event was, where they broke in and shot that concert up. It was just horrifying, but the people were opening their doors and letting you know where it was.
Yes.
Where safety was.
Yes.
So that's where I went, I got to learn this language. Twitter could actually be a way for the people to connect in real time.
So when you started on Twitter a few years back, what did you mostly use it for?
I was trying to catch up with the language. I wouldn't say I'm a little bit of a writer, but
Yeah.
I have always been hurt by writing professionally. I just do love the quick
Yeah.
exercise of my mind
Yeah.
to be funny and poignant and fast. You know, that
Yeah.
like that's what I used Twitter for at the beginning, was to kind of like parry with people, and that's how I found. I mean, it took me a while to find liking you, but you and I, like, I used to be one of the knee jerk lefty people on Twitter, and I am no longer that person. I don't think either.
You
I've
were
made
probably
I've
a
made
total
shift.
dick to me back in the day.
No, totally. I was a blanket. I had knee-jerk responses ready to go. We disagreed on this issue, and here's why you're wrong, and fuck you and everyone you know. And and by the way, it's so easy. It's so easy. Like how if I met you in person, I'd have to sit with you, Joe. And that's that's what I love about what you've. That's what I love about what you've started to talk about more and more lately. I did catch up on Starts With Us. I didn't know about it. But brother,
I want to ask you about them, but I want you to back up for a minute, John Ailes. Long-time film and TV actor. Did I hear you say at the top that
True.
you kinda are retiring as an actor a little bit?
No, retiring as a photographer.
Oh, you're retiring as a photographer.
I used to work. Yeah, I just naturally did. What happened, it was a curious thing, is that when I really got into photography, I was shooting on set a lot with directors who also loved cameras. So it was like I would shoot my perspective as an actor from the experience and share that stuff. And then some people started to hire me. I got into the Cameras Guild Union. I was a still photographer on sets for a few years there from directors who liked my work.
Yeah.
And it's as competitive as a photographer on set, and portrait photography too, as it is being an actor.
Wow.
And although there's autonomy in photography, I get to do the work, complete the work, deliver the work. That's a beautiful thing about photography now. Digitally, it's like there's this flow where it's all me.
Yeah.
Every time I pulled out a rig to shoot something in the last, I think it started around 17, 18, like I was still shooting on set until then, and people would say, Ailes is a great actor, but you got to see his pictures. And it started to make me go,
yeah.
That makes me kind of wonder. And then when I pulled out cameras to shoot, other people would be shooting the same thing with their phone, like 5 people shooting the same thing. And I was like, I'm not as interested in anymore. So I love photography. I just don't shoot anymore as much. Yeah.
Hey, John.
Weird.
How,
everything in our house.
How, first off, how old were you? But what the hell got you into acting to begin with? Way back when?
Yeah, that's a good question. My parents were workers. My dad was a salesman. My mom was a retired teacher, but ended up going back to being a substitute teacher.
Yeah.
Both were, I come from a Greek family, Greek Americans, of course. And
you're so damn Greek looking, especially with that beard. You look Greek.
I know. I lose 10 years when I shave this, but I keep it because I'm on strike. I'm not really on strike yet. No, they were both just demonstrative, engaging, storytelling, funny people. And at church, which was their social connection to the world, there's this Greek community in Los Angeles. There's a Greek community in every big city, but there are many pockets in LA. So that was my world. I had like that. And I was in the junior choir, and they did plays twice a year, and they went to retreats to work on them. And I was just kind of like funneled in there, and I loved it. So I just ended up, there was a kid in our church community, in fact, and you'll know this spot, but he became incredibly wealthy and very famous for being the first BOLOGNA Oscar Mayer Wiener kid on the pier. I don't know if you remember On the Pier. He was the first kid to sing that song.
Yeah.
And he just blew up, and he was exactly my age. And my parents were like, there's an agent here who's Greek, and she represents him. And maybe I was like, I'll try it. And I hated it. So I didn't do it till I graduated college officially. Yeah.
Hey,
there you go. Long answer. Minute and a half.
You are politically, I'm going to surmise, based on you're a good, solid, fucking, genuine progressive. Is that pretty accurate?
Yeah, I'm a very disgruntled Democrat, progressive. I'm registered as a Democrat because there is no party for me, and where progressives really stand today, they are fringe. There's a corporate two-party system, and you could be either. And I mean, Joe, take away the content of what we say. We are the same. Everybody is the same. We're pointing fingers at them. They're pointing fingers at us. We think that we're absolutely right. They're absolutely wrong. They think we're absolutely wrong. They're absolutely right. It's like it's a constant shitty cycle, and that's why Twitter needs more moderate discussion. Go.
Yeah, but John, don't you think, and I say this as somebody who's way more right than you, I mean way more conservative than you.
You are?
What? Don't you think, Ailes, that right now at this fucking moment in history, people on the left are more right now than people on the right? Like we're all pointing fingers, but
there is a world where it goes, where there's a pendulum that kind of starts to swing back the other way. I mean, there are voices like, I don't know if you listen or pay attention or have been interviewed by Russell Brand.
Yeah.
But this guy's podcast, I'm just going to take a little aside on Russell Brand.
Dude.
His podcast, Under the Skin, his podcast is one of the most articulate people that you will ever hear.
Yeah.
In a reasoned and calm and open-minded way, talking to 150 different heads for an hour and a half each, and not sensationalizing, except for his own emotional excitement and all of that.
Right.
And his popularity on YouTube with his daily rant became the thing that people latched onto, and now his Rumble persona has swung so far to the left that he sounds like Jimmy Dore, and he sounds like Joe Rogan, and he sounds like Tim Pool, and they sound like each other with cheering people. And I love him. I think he's brilliant, but he's lost me. So, I really, and people hate that I love him on the left because he sounds like a lunatic, because he has RFK on, and RFK makes some good sense. I'm sorry. RFK is a lunatic, and he's wrong on everything. But when you start to talk about digital currency, he's kind of right. Like, I don't want a digital currency taking away my access to my bank. Yeah. Like, I can appreciate that. I mean, everything else is, I'm almost going to say I haven't agreed with him on anything. But on that, I don't want that. So why can't I have two opinions? Russell
Brand is a smart guy. When you look, John, like at the Joe Rogan and the Joe Rogans of the world, what is he? Is he a charlatan, or is he good? Is he providing a service because he'll put anybody in front of him and he's just asking questions, or is there something more subversive?
No, I think that take on it. Is, I don't think he's just asking questions. I think he's living from an ideology, and also, I mean, all media. I listened to you with Brian Karem just basically talking about the fairness doctrine for so long, and I appreciated that fight. You guys were awesome about it. But I will also say that to me, it's not even about that. I mean, it is about Walter Cronkite and Gwen Ifill and, the people that we used to trust with fact.
Right.
But now everything is entertainment. Everything is opinion. And unless we are experts, I don't want your opinion. And I appreciate that he'll open his mic to anyone. And I think that anyone should go on Joe Rogan and reach that audience and try an approach of exposure. Education in this country has been fucked since Ronald Reagan and Newt Gingrich fucked up in the 80s and tried to privatize everything. And all our
here
school
you go.
systems have
Here you
suffered.
go. Right away, you and I are going to fight about something. Continue, Ailes. I'll let you go.
Okay, it was us. It was Clinton too. With all Clinton was a mess. Listen, no, I haven't seen. I have not. We're not happy about our leadership. We're not happy about our leadership. No one has been happy about our leadership if they really look into it. But what is happening in our world, in my opinion, could be in the United States, can be remedied only by good early education and education at home, and travel and exposure to other types of people, even in the United States, but certainly out of the United States. I think that's the only way that we can come together and hear each other.
You know, that's a theme of yours, that you worry that we will never really be able to come together, don't you? Like, is this like a permanent divide?
Totally. The people I love the most, yes. Because you travel. Yeah. As an actor, I'm really lucky. Since the pandemic, I've seen a lot of the United States that I haven't seen because of work.
Yeah.
I've been in a couple of towns in Montana for a few months. I've been in Louisiana for a couple of months. I've been in Mississippi for a couple of months. I've been in Santa Fe, New Mexico. I've been in Texas. I've sat with these people who you don't talk politics for 20 minutes, and we are all the same. We want enough money to feed our families and have time off to enjoy each other's company. We want peace. We want health care. We want to be healthy, and we want basically want each other to get along.
You sound, John, like some wonderfully naive progressive actor. Yeah, we're all human, but come on, we got fundamental differences, right? Like we believe different things,
right? But I want to know. I want to ask you.
Huh.
I don't know how you're my wife's age. I'm a bit younger than both of you. It still astounds me that someone in Ohio can grow up on either side of this divide so radically. How did you become so conservative so young? How did that happen to you? And how did I know how the switch changed for you.
Yeah.
And you were instrumental in a party that, the Tea Party was a bugbear for us. We couldn't fucking win against this rising tide. It's crazy.
That's so funny, John. That's so funny.
Son of a bitch.
So I've always fucking loved politics. I've always been like libertarian. Like people, you got labels. Like people call me a conservative. I'm really libertarian. Like government, leave me the hell alone.
I hear that.
That's generally my philosophy. Let me have whatever gun I want to own. Let me sleep with whoever I want to sleep with. Let me keep most of the damn money I make. And so I want government to be really small. So I've always been into that. To me, John, that's what the Tea Party was. I know, there are a million different interpretations of the Tea Party. But then somehow Trump and his movement co-opted the Tea Party, and it became this authoritarian bullshit white nationalist thing. And that's when I ran for the hills. But I've always been libertarian. You and I may be closer than we think.
Well, I think libertarians can be reasoned with. I think progressives, like real progressives, can be reasoned with. And I think that you're right that leave me the fuck alone is and by the way, that's where I was going with all my travel. It's like most of these people are just like, I just want to be left alone. Like, I just want to be left alone. And I appreciate that. The only thing is that religion has made this kind of really hard 4-decade kind of wrapping around of politics, and it's bastardized all the ideology where if you're really going to question religious people, you're going to find very few of them. who are truly Christian and
So-
who live by those tenets.
So the social conservatives, they kind of co-opted my side, and I grew up Catholic,
Sure.
but I'm very much like, you keep your religion, I'll keep mine, stay out of my nose. But and you don't, and I'll be honest, you don't get that on the right. There are a lot of people on the right that want to force their religious beliefs on everybody. But even John, you get some of that. Like, if you are talking to those guys out in Montana who just want to be left alone, what I hear from them is, don't fucking throw the 39 different genders at me. You know, I mean, enough with, don't force this stuff down my throat. They say a lot of that. You get some of that, right? Like, you understand some of that.
Well, I do. Here's what I'll say.
Huh.
The hilarious use of the woke mob out of
Yeah.
DeSantis and MGT and
Totally.
MTG and the woke mob. This language is hilarious.
Yeah. Yes.
But I will
agree.
also say that though there are very important issues woven inside the fabric of this hypersensitive attention to language
Yeah.
and equity,
Yeah.
it clouds the political issues to the extent that that is the divide that we'll never bridge. For sure, even with age,
Yeah.
the divide about pronouns and all
Yeah.
of this is too confusing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I have a 22-year-old daughter, and it was, when she was 16 and 17, where I was still putting up explain it to me. How is it that all of you are questioning your place in gender? How is it possible? Well, it's social. It's certainly valid to question these things about yourself, especially in adolescence.
Yeah.
And we had language that we created that was our own. We had norms that broke outside of our parents' norms.
Yep.
Of course it's going to be jarring for ages. But for conservative minds, they are being repeatedly, and by the way, the democratic minds, corporate democratic minds, are being repeatedly fed the opposite algorithm to keep them angry about something,
Yeah.
and to tune into these shitty, fucking terrible news outlets.
Hey, hold on.
I really think the only bastion is podcasting. I think the only place you can do it is on a private one-on-one level like this, where
Like this.
you don't have to feed. Yeah, you don't have to feed a corporate owner. You don't have to abide by some kind of talking point that you've seen those.
Yeah.
What is it? You've seen those where all of the
Yeah.
anchors are repeating the same exact
thing.
language.
Right.
Fucking.
What,
And by the way, that's only one company's dictate. It crosses over all of the media. They all use these. I mean, the woke mob. Give me a break.
give me a break.
Yes, we've gone
totally
too
agree.
far with woke with what they're calling wokeness. We're the pendulum is swinging really hard to say, look at me, right? That's okay for a short period of time. It will swing back, but wokeness can't be co-opted by them, because wokeness is actually people who are worried about people. In my opinion,
John,
That's what I think it is.
Let me give you an example, John Ailes. Like if John Ailes and Joe Walsh, two straight white guys, had a great idea for a fucking show that we were going to travel the country and talk to Americans and try to bring Americans together, right? Do something about this divide. What a
Right.
riot. John Ailes, progressive, Joe Walsh, conservative, two white guys, we're going to do it. If you and I tried to sell that show in Hollywood, John, I would bet that people would say, fucking A, that's a great idea, but it can't be two straight white guys. It's got to be Ailes and a black
Right,
woman, or
for
Walsh
sure.
and a... Like, is that
Yeah.
good? Is that just a correction? Are you okay with that?
It's been happening in my career as an actor since,
Yeah.
diversity has been the dictate for 15 years.
Yeah.
You know, I've gone in and been at the network level or at the studio level for a role several times.
Yeah.
And finally it goes to a black woman or a black man or a gay man, or recently I wasn't hired to play an Armenian because I'm not Armenian, which that one kind of was like,
Yeah.
I am all about making a rainbow out of our viewing.
Yeah.
I love it. I think it's great for everyone to see themselves and stuff. It affects my career as an actor. It means I have to work harder and get different roles, man. That's kind of what it means. And to be honest, I don't even know if my career is going to exist in 10 years. I don't know if we have filmed entertainment. But when you're talking about two men doing a white talk show, we could do it, and our guests would be rad and pepper the spectrum of diversity and people, all people. You know, that if we went and did that, yeah, we'd be two white guys, but it would be a colorful conversation with lots of different kinds of people. So and who wants to join us? Let's go.
And it would be a really cool fucking show because you and I are interesting, but it would be a tougher show to sell with you and I. So John, you're the progressive. What I'm hearing from you, and maybe this is true, the pendulum has swung. We're in a correction period right now. This is just a necessary correction, this diversity thing. Would you buy that?
Oh, it's a necessary correction. I don't think we're going to go backward because certainly our country is becoming, more and more integrated. You know, we are no longer going to be a white majority country, right? I think soon.
Yes, soon. Soon.
So, but of course, everybody needs to see themselves in if we're talking about narrative entertainment. Everyone needs to see themselves represented, and that includes everyone. You know, so everyone. Yeah. So I would like to see everyone included. All the people who have been left behind, and I mean, so many men have played gay men for years who were not gay, and there were tons of great gay actors. Yeah. Same thing, you know, they basically didn't write for gay women, and you know, once in a while they did, and then finally Ellen came out and did that. But it absolutely needs a sense of we are all supporting all people, and I as an actor got into this because I saw Laurence Olivier do Othello for the BBC, looking like a black man, like with no irony. And I was like, that I could transform. I could be anything, but now I can't. And I'll do other things with it, you know. But, you know, I think it is a necessary correction. And I don't think we're going back. And the pendulum is still swinging. It hasn't swung. But I don't think that means that we should let someone co-opt language that includes people for their negative purposes, which is what the woke mob is doing.
Completely agree with that, John. Completely. Last question on this one, and then I'll let it go. You are a fucking amazing actor. You could play a gay man in a role really convincingly. It makes me sad in a way that because of the way things are, John Ailes may never get chosen to play a really cool gay man in a role.
It is confusing. I mourned that years ago.
Okay.
Though it hasn't. This isn't a new thing. I don't know if you know Jonathan Pryce was in Miss Saigon in the 90s playing a half Vietnamese man, I think, or maybe he was playing a Vietnamese man, and there was an uproar, and it was the only thing actors talked about for a couple of years. It was like, wait, I can't play outside of who I am. Do I have to father of one adult daughter who's Greek American, and you know, with I don't know where that leaves me. It's kind of strange that we are. I don't know, but you're right. It's sad to me too, but I had to mourn that a long time ago. And I think if it's done well,
Yeah.
certain actors, me included, uh, might be able to break a rule like that if the project is great. And I was in a movie a couple years ago that Sia produced and directed called Music,
Yeah.
and the girl who does all the dancing in Sia's videos, who played the lead, played an autistic girl, a
Yeah.
highly autistic girl, not functioning autistic girl. And that movie got panned
Wow.
because of that choice. And Sia kind of pushed back against her audience. And I appreciated that, but it's one of those things you can't win. It's like you have to go, oh, I see there is a community that's affected by this. I may have made a mistake, but I stand by it.
Yeah.
She's great in it.
Yeah.
Whatever. But that's not, I don't, again, that's a longer
Hey,
political
John,
conversation.
I am libertarian / conservative because I believe in I believe in freedom, individual responsibility, and small government. You are progressive. If I asked you why is John Ailes progressive, how would you answer that?
Because every election since 2004, really since 2000,
Yeah.
has been the most important election of my life. Every election is the most important election of my life. I have to fall in line
Yeah.
with who the Democratic Party decides is my candidate. I have to fall in line with whatever corporate tool they can push through at the last minute of the primary,
Yeah.
right before a real revolution is happening. Not guns, but a real economic for the people. Wait a minute, the government is fucking me because all of the money is going upward. All of the money goes up.
Yeah.
To a dozen people, it's ridiculous. So as many times as you tell me I have to vote for Joe Biden, I will vote for Joe Biden. But I'm only voting for Joe Biden again to prevent actual destruction of our Constitution, the end of it, right? I think.
So you've never in your adult life, you've never had a progressive that you loved to put that vote in on for president, have you?
I loved Barack Obama at the beginning, but
Okay.
he proved to be
He was
a corporate.
He was a corporate dem.
I mean,
He was a
he's a
corporate dem.
genius. He's eloquent. He brought people. Oh, totally. But I was a little bit on the naiver side in 2008, and I think I was so excited to finally see this country say, yes, this dude who has a rousing speaking pattern that can get everyone together, that makes us all feel good about ourselves, that happens to come from adversity, that's also a black man. It's like all these things I love about him. He's great. And he's speaking to the people. He wants to make change. 8 years of Bush was bad. He was good, but he wasn't a progressive. And I wasn't as progressive until the end of his term, really.
Oh,
and it
wow.
wasn't because of who was coming. It wasn't because I thought it was Trump. It was because I was following Bernie in the Senate during Obama's years and during Bush's years and thinking, that man could never be president, but holy shit. Like he speaks my language. He's about like, I don't
Bernie.
I
Bernie's
work
your
all
guy.
the time.
Yeah.
I can't keep the Bernie is my Bernie was my, oh, people are gonna hate me. Bernie, I really felt like Bernie was making a connection among class and just discounting culture. Like, really just saying, don't talk to me about process. Don't talk to me about language. What is happening is the corporations are stealing your futures. And that's where I think, I mean, he may have had no plan, but I think that he had enough smart people who would have rallied around to make that happen had he ever gotten
So, John, and maybe you'll disagree with me, but in a weird way, Trump and Bernie were cut from the same cloth. They were both neither one was really a Republican or a Democrat.
Upstarts.
Yeah, they were both upstarts. They ran against the establishment. They ran against the two-party duopoly. Trump's evil and he's a demagogue. Bernie's not. Bernie's a great guy. But it's this like anti-establishment thing that fuels a lot of like Tucker Carlson and Joe Rogan, which is weird, and RFK. And
Oh,
that's
100%.
That's your music.
100%.
The anti-establishment stuff.
Yes. I mean, I really feel like that is where we would have seen a better last 8 years. For everybody.
Bernie would have beaten
except
Trump,
for those,
John.
except
Bernie
for the
would have beaten Trump in 2016.
Yeah, oh yeah. Oh yeah, he had groundswell. It was a full-on hamstring. Klobuchar did that very strange out and handed it over.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was bad. He was winning, and I mean, look, Hillary had been preparing for it forever, and I was as resistant as anyone to let that happen because it's just more of the same. It's just more of the same. It was still, but became the most important election of my life. You know, that's what happened. Of course, I got to vote there.
Hey, John, have you found as an actor that you got to kind of not be super duper outspoken with your politics? Like you got to kind of keep it kind of reserved? A little bit?
Oh my God, no.
No.
I mean, maybe. Maybe. I did a minute. I mean, maybe. I've never done that. No. I don't think I've ever been. I've been worried that I went too far on a couple of things.
Yeah.
And it's funny. I did a limited series that's coming out in August. By some really genius dudes.
Yeah.
Who wrote A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. They wrote this. And Pete Berg directed it. Anyway, it's a good show, and the showrunner Eric Newman sent me a little note saying someone incredibly important had watched it and liked me, and I remember I had pretty much really badmouthed that person on Twitter, and I left it up, but I was hoping that person didn't take offense to that.
That's hilarious.
I haven't seen the show yet, but I hear it's great. Yeah.
So, hey, John.
I speak my mind.
You speak your mind, which, by the way, again, I'm just going to promote you. Everybody listening to us right now needs to follow him on Twitter. It's at I am John Ailes, ALES.
Oh, man.
At I am John Ailes. John, no bullshit. I consider you one of my most interesting by far follows. I love what you post. I love what you say,
Thank you.
even when you piss me off.
Same, man.
I like that.
It rarely happens.
I know. It's so cool. So really, it's this anti-corporate thing that really drives you. Like that's what makes you a progressive. You feel like we got like 3 to 4 to 5 corporations.
Joe. I like
world.
nice things.
What do you mean?
Well, that's yeah.
What do you mean? What do you mean you like nice things?
I have a socialist bent, you know. I don't know if it's complete socialism, but I do like nice things. I like the finer things in life, and I want to work for things that provide it. So I think that capitalism does good things, but I do know that there are enough resources and there's enough food and there's enough real estate for everybody in this world to live better than they are. And if multinational corporations aren't actually being taxed, aren't actually being pursued to pay what they owe, then they do need to have a higher tax structure, and there do have to be penalties, or blah blah blah. I am for less taxes for the people. I am for less government for the people. For some reason, we need more. In many cases, we need more than we have, and we have more taxes for us and less taxes for them all the time, right? It's just not.
Yeah.
It's not good for people. I'm worried about my kids' generation. You have 5 kids. How do they span?
35 to 28. I'm an old fuck. Oh, hey,
Yeah.
John, I worry about
I mean,
my kids'
they're sort of
generation.
on a. Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah.
Of course we have to. I don't see anyone in the bigger cities in these generations owning real estate that they don't inherit.
Real.
You
Oh,
know,
interesting.
and also, I mean, I in Los Angeles, these billion-dollar funds exploited opportunity zones, went into underprivileged places, and used an opportunity zone that was meant to empower the people who lived in those communities to buy at their rate to lift themselves out of poverty, but rather billion-dollar funds came in and said, I could buy your house from you right now for 10 times what you paid for it. And they were like, fuck yeah, I'm out of here, thanks. They bought blocks, they built buildings with retail, and now they expect your kids and my kids to pay rent to them for their lives because there's no real estate to buy. It's just insane. It's insane. And exorbitant prices.
But then, agreed, that's a huge problem, John, that people aren't talking about. So what is always interesting to me, my progressive friend, what do you want government doing about that? Because the free market guy in me generally doesn't want government doing anything about that. What do you want government doing about that?
Right. No, it's very confusing. Karen Bass is here in Los Angeles, and the big debate in mostly on the west side was what do we do? There's all sorts of public housing being built, which is interesting. These public housing projects take 4 to 5 times as long, cost 2, 3 to 4 times as much, because of all the regulatory shit that they have to step through.
Yes.
So obviously you would have to cut a lot of those regulations and allow public housing to be built on a private level. There's money there. They're just spending it like 4 times harder. It's like, what's happening? So yeah, I mean, I don't know what she's done about the homeless situation, but it has gotten visibly 180 from the pandemic time. Like, you couldn't drive under a freeway without seeing 10 people in tents up until like a year ago. Karen Bass comes in and like she's cleaned up the homeless like Giuliani did to New York in the 90s.
It's gotten, I didn't know that, John.
It's
it's gotten better.
Way better. But I don't know. I mean, the West Side is terrible. I know that Venice, I have a couple of friends who own in Venice, and they can't sell their houses because now it is like Skid Row sometimes. It's hard.
Like San Francisco.
But we have a bad.
You turn on Fox News every night, John, and they go after the homeless in LA and they go after the homeless in San Fran. Now, there's some truth to it. I mean, they overplay it.
They can say whatever they want.
But
well, it's the homeless in the United States. It's the homeless in the world. I say again, travel.
Yeah.
If you go to Livingston, Montana, and there are homeless people, the community takes care of them because there's so few.
Yes.
If you go to Bozeman, Montana, it's a city. The community has a harder time taking care of them. If you go to Natchez, Mississippi, and there's a homeless person, they're living in someone's house that night. Like, it's like people care, but we have the resources. Just big cities have so many people because that's where homeless people can come and get some kind of, money on the street. It's I don't know. That's a terrible, terrible cycle. And I was so much concerned about the human people of our country from the pandemic, of course, more so because homelessness was just like happening to people there before the grace of God. It's like it just happened to people. Their incomes were ravaged, their futures were stolen, they had nothing. So they're on the street and they look like you and me, all of them look like regular people, just like, I got no money.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do. I'm living under this freeway. So I know the pandemic was a big problem with the homelessness,
Yeah.
and fuck every single conservative who just blanket talks about Los Angeles or San Francisco or whatever for the whatever. Every city in the world has too many people, too much garbage, and so there's detritus and there's bad things that happen to good people.
So
Sorry.
so so then, John Ailes, answer this for me, because I love the way you said "fuck those conservatives." So, and that segues me into another topic. I'm involved with this group called Starts With Us that's trying to bring the sides
Yes.
together to find common ground. And I think it's a noble effort. And I used to be a really divisive son of a bitch, and I'm trying to do something about that. But
Mm.
but we are at war in this country. There is a real fucking divide. Should we at this moment, John Ailes, be trying to bring the sides together, or I hear a lot of well-intentioned people in the middle and the center who say, no, we're at war right now. We got to defeat this MAGA, whatever the hell it is. You want to sit down and find common ground? We can do that down the road, but right now we got to defeat the other side. Where are you on that?
Yeah, I don't know if you follow Dennis Herring on
I
Twitter.
love Dennis
He's
Herring.
he's a music producer. He's a genius.
He's a genius. I love him.
He's very, very, he's very,
And by
very
by the
quick
way,
to
by the
say,
way,
I'm
can I give you a
walking,
Dennis?
I'm
John,
walking down that line.
let me give you a Dennis Herring story.
Yeah,
Once I started to follow you and
go.
engage with you a few years ago, Herring called me because we know each other, and he said, I am so happy because John Ailes is one of my most favorite people, and Joe Walsh is one of my most favorite people, and the world now has been saved because Ailes and Walsh are communicating. That was Herring. He loved the fact
Shut
that
the
you and
front door.
I love that. I love that. But
Yeah, that's great.
I
Well,
love
it's
that.
funny that we haven't sat down together.
Well,
I love it too. I love that story.
I love it. He said like I could get off of Twitter right now because my world is complete. John Ailes and Joe Walsh are talking. That's like it. But John, that
That's-
goes to the question. Should we be trying to reach across the aisle right now and find common ground in this country? Or do we need to defeat what the fuck this thing is on the right now?
There are so many things at play. It's funny that we revolve our getting to know each other on Twitter. When I ever post something on Twitter that has an opinion about politics, firstly, always a caveat: I don't know anything. I'm not well read. I am an actor. I'm not a politician. But this is how I feel.
Yeah.
If anything at all sounds like a centrist idea, or I get people who I get important follows of mine say, I'm unfollowing because I will not hear both sides on this.
Yes.
I will not hear both sides on this. Oh, Delilah came home.
Oh, what is Delilah?
I understand you don't let me apologize for Delilah doggies.
No.
Doggy.
What kind of doggy
Delilah's
is
our
Delilah?
doggy.
What kind of dog, John?
She's a golden mixed with a German Shepherd, but she looks like a black lab, sort of.
Oh,
Delilah, did you find your brother?
Wait,
She's
wait.
a beauty. I'll send you a picture.
send me a picture. But you posted something over the weekend that I'm gonna retweet. It was you were filming a dog sitting, looking outside, and you said,
Yeah, that's our new dog, Poe.
That's
Yeah.
Poe. Okay. So you got two.
He's our puppy. He's about 4 months old. We had 3. Our oldest Doodles died a couple of weeks ago in his sleep.
Hey,
He was
Ailes.
16.
Ailes, answer
sad.
this.
Yo,
Do we need?
oh yeah, we were on that
Do
question.
we need to fight the war and win right now against that other side, or should we be sitting down with them
we
right
can't
now?
win it.
Go ahead.
I mean, we can't win hearts and minds ourselves. We can't, and no one on the left can talk to the right. The right can only watch what the right is doing and say, that's not for me.
Yeah.
The right can only look at DeSantis and say, that guy's dangerous, like seriously dangerous. I mean, Trump is dangerous, but only on mostly on a personal level, mostly for himself. He's dangerous for us because he fucks up the norms and he changes all these things. But DeSantis is really pretending to be a Christian who's really gonna, fucking change things bad. I don't know how we win that without watching that and say, you guys are lying. Like, you are liars. And the only way that anyone knows that is if it hits them wrong. And we aren't going to ever nothing we do will convince them. Nothing they do can convince me. No conservative can win my vote unless they say, I'm not going to rule as a conservative. I'm going to rule. John McCain might have had my vote.
Yeah.
But he was, if it were against Trump.
Yeah.
But these are different times.
Well, John, that's a great point.
I think that we have to win. No, I was just going to say, I think that we have to win this war in government for 4 more years for whatever reason, and hope that we're able to squash Fox and squash CNN and MSNBC. I'm sorry. All of these mainstream media outlets are only pumping us full of wrong thinking. We're not looking at each other in any way. The left takes so much beat in every failure, and they also sensationalize every failure to a point where it's ridiculous. How could you watch those news people? They are only making tons of money. That's it. It's just, and so political careers launch media campaigns. It's fucking whatever.
You made a great point that I think I want to emphasize because I want everybody to understand. John Ailes and the left is not going to change anybody's mind on the far right. It's got to be like conservatives like me who change people over there, just like they're not going to change the way you think. Kind of that's what you said, right? And I like that. That makes sense.
Right.
So then, John, is it worth your time?
And it's hard for progressives, too.
Is it worth John Ailes' time to even engage with like a MAGA guy?
I mean, not on Twitter because they are too courageous on Twitter. They say whatever they want and they bubba. But if I see you at a restaurant and I have a conversation with you, I mean, I did that in Portland, Oregon, right before the pandemic. I was very concerned just to see how these young dudes were MAGA hat wearing philosophers, teaching younger dudes this ideology. And I mean, there's just too much going. There's too much hate. Yeah, there's too much hate woven into it to win that over.
What are you?
And that can only be changed by traveling and education.
Yeah. Well, I love that. But John, I love that you keep saying that, you big jerk. But there are a lot of people who don't have the means to travel. That's a problem.
I mean, travel outside of your holler.
I love that. I love that.
That is,
Thank you.
I absolutely know that. But I mean, we have a big country. The dialect in New Orleans is different from the dialect in northern Louisiana and the dialect in the central part of Louisiana. It's like those people are so different. All you need to do is cross a county line.
That's so fucking great, though, John. That's so fucking great.
Shit.
That's so fucking great what you just said. You said, and I'm going to quote you on this, we all need to travel outside of our holler. I love that. You don't need to go far to do that. I love that.
That's what I mean. And that's why it's been such a treat for me to just see the United States, to just see, we've been fighting for, we fought in conservatives and Democrats in my youth. They fought in kitchens,
Yeah.
They were great about it. Their discussions were hilarious and fiery, but they didn't hate. And then suddenly there is this, the divide is, I hate you, you're wrong.
Why, John, in your mind,
That's just not going to work.
you're an artist and you're an observer of humanity. Where does that come from? Where does this new hate come from? Why now hate? What changed?
Well, it's probably not new. I'm pretty sure that exposure is to do with it.
Yeah.
But exposure happened, the internet happened, and allowed for, first of all, music trends to immediately go from Europe to here.
Yeah.
Like that divide gets kind of bridged. And then you can see any lifestyle, you can see any ideology that you want, internet, and the algorithm pushes you that way. What has happened is that the internet has brought it to the surface, brought it to light. It existed. It just gave people the courage of their convictions. Oh, other people feel that way. Also, I'm anonymous. I can quadruple down, you libtard.
Yeah.
And if you got in a room with me and called me a libtard, I wouldn't give a shit. But if you kept calling me a libtard and started saying hateful things and then physically affronted me, we're going to get into fists, right? That happens. Never will happen on the internet.
No.
So people are all courageous, but they're weak. If you actually were with other people in the room, you have to be at least or willing to fight.
John, I
think that's what happened.
I love that. It takes courage when you're with somebody to disagree with somebody, when you're with them and to listen to them. That takes courage. It takes zero courage online. Hey, I'm going to close with 3 quick questions to you. One quick question is, on Twitter now, you're still engaging. You're not going to shy away from the fight for the next few years, are you, politically, on Twitter?
No, I don't know. I will never shy away. I will always express my opinion. I will try to be open-minded always. I don't know if you noticed, I follow a few people who I have found are really there pressing forward like positive imagery on Twitter that is apolitical.
Yeah.
Beautiful things, happy things. So my stuff has I talk about acting, I talk about coaching actors, I talk about baking and cooking, which are very important things to me, and people in my life and that kind of thing. But when politics come up, I absolutely will always express my opinion. It has to be taken with a grain of salt. I'm not a politician. I don't read the documents. I don't know everything. I don't know everything about COVID. How are all of you epidemiologists? It's like I just feel like we have to take people with a grain of salt.
Yes.
And my opinion has to come that way. But really, I'm trying to get people to laugh and think about the absurdity of what's happening.
I love that.
And I think that's what Twitter's for me. And I think you do that in a great way too. But you're just such a well-spoken guy, and I'm so grateful that you asked me to be on this. I think that I'm really glad you made the turn that you made in your life, and I think that you're the audience for a good thing.
Thank God for Trump. He slapped me upside the head. He woke me up. Hey, John, question number 2, and we're almost done. I'm older than you, and I'm an Irishman, and so I'm naturally dark. I'm going to ask you if you're bullish or bearish on this American experiment. I tend to be bearish. Like, I don't know that we can keep it together. Are you bullish or bearish on America, John Ailes?
Yeah, I'm skeptical. I used to be really bearish, but really bullish. The winds got knocked out of my sails when a candidate who I thought could really change things really got stripped out of the conversation. When Bernie got taken out, I really wow, I don't know if we're ever going to get someone who's going to address the class war all the way through and really get people paid, really get healthcare sorted out. Canada laughs at us. That's one thing that Canada doesn't have in their existence. They don't fear illness or injury will bankrupt them. They don't fear that if I go to the doctor right now, if I get in that ambulance, it's going to cost me $700. It costs $45 to get in an ambulance in Canada, and the rest is covered.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
if a worker
I know
gets
what you're saying,
hurt
John
on the
Ailes.
job here,
but the quality of healthcare here, baby, is way above what it is in Canada, my
that's
friend.
great if you can get it, bro. That's great. That's fantastic. But 150 million people don't get fucking access. So cry me a river.
See, this is what I love.
Yeah, it's great
this
for
is
us
what
rich.
No, I know. You're
great
right.
for the rich.
You're
and by
right.
the way, I ain't rich. I'm a worker.
You are a worker.
No, it's just, that is the thing. And in Europe, the same thing. It's like if socialized medicine is a thing that we can ever achieve in any way, even if our taxes go to it and we have a payment to the government about it, whatever it is, it's like we need coverage for the least among us. Those people who fed us during the pandemic, we discard immediately. As soon as the pandemic's over, we didn't take care of anybody. You know, it's terrible.
You know,
we don't take care of our citizens, and
just,
in that regard, I fear for our country.
See, this just pisses me off. So here we come to the end of this podcast, and you get into an issue where you and I
and it's getting political.
You and I could go at it on this issue. I love this issue of healthcare.
I have no information. All I know is it started in Saskatchewan by one big pushy motherfucker, and suddenly Canada nationalized it 10 years later, and they have it. We could have had something like that with Bernie. Something.
I love that.
Well, Obamacare is a disaster. Can we agree on that?
It is an absolute disaster, and it's a ticking time bomb, John,
right.
because it's the biggest, fastest growing piece of the federal budget. It's going to bankrupt us unless we figure it out. You and I,
and it's all middlemen and red tape.
I know, but when we talk about government, we talk about a fucking lot of red tape. But you and I can go at that when we see each other in person down the road. My second to last question is this, John Ailes. And it's a profound question for a short answer. When you die, John, when you die one day, there are only three possibilities. Nothing happens. Something happens and you're aware that something happens, or something happens and you're not aware. When you die, John, what happens?
That's a great question. I was raised Greek Orthodox, which is Catholicism without Pope.
Yeah.
Very ritual based.
Yeah.
Heaven is there. My dad's in heaven. My mom wants to go to heaven to see my dad. I believe. I was exposed to comparative religions by a cantor in 11th grade in high school, and he was a genius, and he talked to me about all the religions. He was a Jew, but he was like, this is what's going on. And I was like, well, no one can be right? So what I do believe is that we are all part of one thing. I do believe the universe is one thing. It's bigger than any of us can ever understand. We are all fragments of it. Dust, as Sarah Silverman says, cosmic dust, flying through the world. And I do believe that there is understanding of what's happening even after.
Okay.
I don't know if it's heaven, but I feel like we're still the fabric of not only the earth, but the universe in a continued way. That's what it is, buddy, from my point of view.
Fucking
and I've read no books on this.
No. That's all gut and head and heart. And that's a damn good answer. Final question. John Ailes. And I don't know where you're going to come down on this. What's one thing you wish people understood about you? What is one thing that you wish people understood about you? It's my favorite question because it's hard to answer.
That is great. I'm going to say I'm fairly happy with the way I present myself and the way I'm perceived. I don't feel like I'm misunderstood, except on first meeting. What I wish is that all the talents that I put together as an actor over these years would materialize in a larger audience seeing that. Yes. Because I'm very proud of the work that I do as an actor, and I work all the time, but it's like I really want a larger a large amount of people to know it. I don't want to be a famous person. I just want people to say, wow, that guy, I know who he is. He really kicks ass. Like that's what I keep working for. But
Okay,
I love
but
how my family feels. I love how I feel about me.
and John, I'm not going to ask you another. Well, this is the final question then. But people who know your work, and I've seen your work, you're a damn good actor. Don't the people who know your work know you do really good work?
Yeah, but everything is a taste thing.
Yeah.
I've worked with some really, really great producers and directors who hire me back, and
Yeah.
those things make me feel really good. Sometimes when I feel like producers or directors or writers should hire me back and they don't, that's a taste issue.
Yeah.
And I can't, again, like I just wish that it were easier. I wish those people were like, always, yes, John, always. Most people do. So
John Ailes, everybody. I love people who make me laugh, make me think. I love interesting people. And these last 5, 6, 7 years, getting to know you on Twitter, getting to know you now, has been a treat. Everybody should follow him and follow his work. Research the shit he's been in. Watch his work. He's a phenomenal actor. He's a wonderful actor. Follow him on Twitter at I am John Ailes. At I am John Ailes. John, it's been an honor, my friend.
can't believe it, man. I'm so thankful you had me on. It's really great to talk to you.
You're the best.
Thank you for listening. Remember to listen, share, and follow White Flag with Joe Walsh on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and everywhere great podcasts are found. And be sure to leave a 5-star review. This has been White Flag with Joe Walsh.